Gee whiz. So yeah, my main base has been WhatsApp for the longest time. I think probably about 3 years I've been on there spreading my propaganda and hatred and other pieces or strands of misogyny. Well, I'm leaving there in 1 week, so I'm calling this the 7 day theory. I'm gonna attempt to upload a video a day. Also, thank you to the people who have subscribed to this somewhat mundane YouTube channel. It's not the usual grand editing, bells, symbols, and all of that jazz. There's some bloke sitting in his quiet, prosaic Londoner apartment, talking, fumbling over a few words here and there. Anyway, I had a few things to talk about today. As you can imagine, I've not got my paper and pen, and I've not got notes, so it's all committed to memory, as it were, which basically means I'm just going to be freestyling, improvising, and doing the best I can in these 10 minutes that I have. Thank you again to anyone who subscribed, and do give me some feedback. I know you don't just watch the other stuff that's on this channel mostly, and then you might accidentally run into one of these videos and even listen to it, provided it's short enough. I don't think that the work I'm doing on these channels is really going to come into fruition for a little while, even if I do think it's important. It's kind of like Jack Kammer made a channel and he's something like 50 subscribers, and for me, his work is as important as the Man Woman Myth channel's work, and it seems that channel got deleted. I wouldn't be surprised if this does go or take off a bit more and get deleted. I've been blocked from Snapchat a few times. I've been blocked from WhatsApp before. Been blocked from Instagram. Been blocked from Facebook. Deleted for multiple reasons. It's not all normal stuff. Usually just spamming people. To be totally honest with you, but listen to me. So yeah, I've had my issues with a few of these platforms, so I don't think it's really reliable. Today I've been thinking about technology, and when I'm a bit more settled, I'm gonna read some of my essays. That's what I've decided I'm going to use this forum, this platform for. I'm going to post a bit more to the WordPress site that we've had going for a while. Read a few more of my essays and my writings, my musings, my reflections. I mean, I'm no James Baldwin or Norman Mailer, but I think that I have views that are useful to some extent, and other people listen to them, so maybe they're worthy of a great audience, kind of like my football. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I came on to talk about the film A Time to Kill. I also prepared some cake, well, custard, so I'm waiting on that to boil. Anyway, I was watching the film A Time to Kill. I was looking for one scene, but as sometimes happens, or as often happens, you end up just watching the whole film. So I'm there spending like an hour and a half trying to find this one thing about the lawyer who commits statutory rape. In the end, I saw a few things in the film. I was like, oh, this is painful. Oh, did I just see that? Oh, cringe. Oh, yuck. No, I can't believe my eyes. So, Time to Kill, I really do rate this as one of the trashiest films that I've seen. And when I say trashy, I mean, I've actually put this in the category of Urban Menace, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, and Flight Plan. I mean, A Time to Kill is really that bad. I am putting it there. The one saving grace, redeeming factor from that film, if any, is possibly, oh yeah, Tenement. I saw a film with the Candyman actor about a prison built on a haunted house, and it fell apart. It was released in 2006. The Candyman actor was in that. Candyman came out like 92. He was in that, and the film was just, what the beep, beep, beep. Well, I'm putting A Time to Kill in that. And why it's funny, because I remember watching The Time to Kill made in 96 whilst I was around Feltham, and, the guys in the cells were like, whoa, yeah, and at the time I was like, yeah, decent. And I've seen the film, childhood and them things there, Radio Big Family. And I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, I like this. But as you go to see what they're quietly trying to impose upon you and inculcate or legitimize, that was the key thing. You kind of look at this film with skepticism to the point where I was just like, this film is actually sickening. It is actually sickening. It disgusts my spirit. It's upsetting me that deeply. that is in, for me, Mortal Kombat Annihilation territory. And of course, people like it a lot more, but for me, I was like, this is trash. Okay, QRSTUV, trash. That's the way I'm looking at this film. I would not subject any children to it. If you want to learn anything about race and white supremacy, don't watch this. And it's funny because I remember, interesting, I don't think it was 95 then, because Benjamin Demott, unless I'm mistaken, wrote the book The Trouble with Friendship, specifically addressing that film, unless I'm mistaken. But I'm under the impression Benjamin Demott's work was from 95, and I'm pretty sure that's the film he's critiquing. Well, these years later, being armed with like 100 hours of the cows, 100 hours of Alan Watt, 100 hours of Radio for All, and a myriad of other broadcasts, audio files and the like, that film did nothing for me. Like, I still got about 20 minutes left to watch. And the only part that really stands out is when Carly Haley says, look, you are my mouthpiece. I'm a negroid, as Bolden remarks in one of these books. I'm a negroid, okay? That's what I'm going to start doing, utilising these a bit more probably. You know, you got these films where documentaries and this professor with like wards of books they've probably never read or just picked one word out of. Kind of like, can't even see it. If any of you look could see it, the Full Monty book, that one, I literally, there it is. I bought it just for one crow, but the crow so moved me, I had to just get that crow. So, I'm going to try to use these a bit more though. Definitely use them a bit more. I think there's some gems inside of them. But the only thing that stood out to me was Carly Haley says, look, they see you. I'm not a person. I'm not a human. I'm Sylvia Winter. I'm Tommy Curry's man, not thing. That's all it is. Everyone thinks, well, I think other people under the oppression of the great part of the film, the big build up leads to the speech that Matthew Conaughey, whatever his name is, gives. And I'm like, no, it's not. This guy just says some basic stuff about, no, imagine that girl's white. I think that's not even the part that really gets me. It's like the race riot in the street, it's the sniper and all of that. It's just like the Black Lives Matter thing. You know when he gives the guy the one bang? That's what happens in the film. You know, the black guy comes, gives him the one punch and blah, blah, blah. It's all this romantic stuff, fantasy, Disney stuff. That's what this film really is. Disney at its very worst. Masquerading as some radical race realism project. And there's a part in it where he says, he gets inducted into the Klan. And I'm like, this is the racism, white supremacy. And what he's telling black folk, listen, they don't get it. They're like, I don't want to hit supremacy. No one's supreme over me. Them times you're black pocket. Them times you're begging job center to give you a little change or something. Them times you're getting evicted. But I want to feel good. I want to be broke and empowered. So that's the trouble I have with black folk in it. They're still like, white supremacy? No, they ain't supreme. It's some hella feminine, if you ask me, whatever that means. But I'm more saying it's to do with that vanity, superiority complex of I don't want to be wrong, I don't want to be inferior, I want to be in charge at all times. So when I'm feeling feminine, that's how I'm putting it. That need to be right, to feel empowered at all costs, no matter what reality is telling you. That refusal to make peace with truth or accept that sometimes you lose. That's why I'm saying it's feminine. That's what I see anyway. Could be mistaken. So I get it a lot, and the part that disgusts me is they go to the Klan and it's like, seriously, this is how we still see this global system of white tail domination that I think we're under. I'm going by the white supremacy essay. That's always my starting point, by Charles Mills, The Racial Contract. I mean, you could use euphemisms if it makes you listen and feel a bit better, but that's my starting premise. I don't actually have the copy of the book. That's one of my favourite books, actually. If I look at what I've read this year, this is my favourite book so far. I'm lying. This year I've also finished reading Ngugi, and I've also read Crazy Talk, Stupid Talk. And last year, my favourite books, because I read the one on racism and group power, group oppression by John Hodge. I'm so glad I remember the name. I also read The Racial Contract again. But I think Heterophobia by Daphne Patai, that was the key book I read last year. I enjoyed that the most. And the formatting I had was quite weak, to say the least, to be modest. The format, it wasn't the best, but it was really engrossing reading. So I think that last year was one of the top books I read, and this year it's probably this. Well, okay, don't even know what I was waffling. But to come back, I was just saying the stuff about the plan. These are the limiting ideas that we have that keep us in this position because we have so many faulty ideas and false concepts. And no, I don't know Gramsci. I've got some documentary I downloaded about 45 minutes. The thing was in Italian or something. I was like, what? Luigi! So I don't know if I'm going to take on Frank Wilderson's thing and study Gramsci. I think other people have mentioned Gramsci actually. I can't remember who, but the names come up before. I think maybe Barbara Ehrenreich. And all these names, I'm probably butchering as I say them, but this is what we had to do in school growing up, and our names have got 2 syllables, so yeah, you lot deal with it, innit? That's why I'm in a Charles Mills, the racial contract. That's how I got there. So that's the premise of all of this, and I do think that a very small group, a minority, has been able to dominate the world because, as Jordan Maxwell says, they spread rumors, they spread lies, they spread hearsay, they give off these false ideas and gossip, and we buy into these ideas, these false concepts. We take them on as our own, and once we believe the myths, as Amos Wilson says, then we collaborate, we are complicit, we collude, and we extend the. It's kind of like this new app that they had where they were rewarding you for sharing the app by saying you're gonna get some money. So bare people start trying to trend, just chatting for the sake of it because they have mouths. And I'm like, yo, chill, sit down. But God, they were just chatting. And I was kind of getting irritated. Like, shut up. I don't want to get your notifications. Well, that's kind of what it is. We endorse the nonsense that people put out, these think tanks that are just devoted to spreading chat, really, and getting us to, passionately buy into it. It's kind of like brands, these 5p brands we're wearing that retail at like £500 that they get people to really endorse, walking billboards. I see that as with ideas. So that troubles me a lot. And films like A Time to Kill, I think they really do the damage of extending that. And where I was going with that thought is this film is anti-blackness because it's still legitimizing the legal system. It's not challenging the fundamental premises or frameworks which underpin this whole system and regime of anti-black domination. And it's kind of like what I've always said about football matches, and I'm going to stop in a very, like 2 minutes. But I always said the ones who was calling you N-word from the stands, they are not your enemy. They are your friends. Because if you're really, for me, to go down to it, N-word, what it means is an anomaly masqueraded as normal. Something that's out of place that we're going to pretend is in place. Kind of like when someone stinks, but you don't want to disrespect them. So, I can't smell that. It's kind of like that for me. So I've always said the ones who are calling you a non-person, an N-word at football stadiums, they're your friends. They're helping you see what things are. Even if your friends, the kind people are saying, look at that black, African American, British Goyd. They're your enemies because they don't want to put you in truth. They want to keep you away from truth and pretend everything's fine until you reach for that mirage and realize, no, you ain't got no water. You're going to dead in the desert. And that's what I think about A Time to Kill. It's giving you this false impression, and that's what's the most dangerous thing. Things that deceive you fundamentally at your core and take you away from reality, that form of violence. Because there's one thing for me to crush your protest, there's another one for me to obliterate your capacity to think outside of the confines which I define, so that the whole concept of protest doesn't even exist. That's the depth nature of reality that I'm trying to really attack and address in this series, as it were. That scientific specificism, that's not a word, well, maybe it is a word if we create it. That scientific dictatorship, that domination, whereby it obliterates your capacity to think of anything outside of the confines you're expected to exist within. And that for me is what A Time to Kill does. Flight Plan is also in that list of trash movies. So, yeah, I'm going to go back and finish my cake, and then I don't know what, probably, drink some Red Bull. No, I'm not going to do that. But yeah, have some cake, probably train for a little bit, and sign out. So I'm gonna do that additional needs thing again and just strangely keep approaching the camera and then kind of like just S out like this.